And if you are coming to class for the first time, welcome. We are live on radio. Good news for you students. We are live on radio on D15 Radio Bourgeois FM 98.1. We are live on radio D15 Bourgeois Radio FM 98.1, and we hope to keep it alive as long as we carry this class. Every time we do this class, and as the radio schedule will permit, we'll be live on radio as well. This has been part of your request for us to be live on radio, and so we are now live on radio right from my home. Welcome. Welcome to Let's Chat. This is class, the Ada Lawrence class of patriotism and social justice. I see a lot of our students here already. I see some new students here. In this class, you don't pay school fees. The only school fees you pay is your data if you are online. Now that we are now on radio, you can just tune to Bourgeois Radio D15 FM 98.1 and you will catch us live on the radio. Welcome this evening in Liberia, and good day wherever you are around the world. My students are so excited to be in class, and okay, so we are here to chat about a few things about our country. I'm Abraham Darius Dillion. I'm humbled to be your senator of Montserrat County, and in this Let's Chat class with Darius Dillion, I'm the professor. You are the students, and you are the listener as well on the radio. Welcome. Let me lower the music, and then we'll start to chat. I see a lot of my students here. If I start a call roll, then we will not have lecture series tonight. The class is packed, jam-packed. So also Kangaba, you the class prefect tonight, yeah? Take note of all the troublemakers and send a list over to Rosalie Giddens, and then she will pass the list on to these students. Welcome. Phonetic Collins, Dwally Thomas, Zoe Wesley, Morgan Harena, Deconti, Clarence Davis, Clarina Wright, Jerome Brown, Abraham Sony, Jar Rich, Sekou Kenne. Hey, my brother Sekou Kenne, welcome. I owe you too much, and I tell you apologizing. So I will just call for auto official, yeah? Sekou Kenne, welcome, my brother. And happy Ramadan, even though it was yesterday. Happy Ramadan to all of our Muslim brothers and sisters in Liberia and across the world. We pray that Allah will grant your prayers for peace, happiness, and prosperity in your lives and in our country and in the world at large. Christopher Lana, what you say? You're just not in the class. Luzini Kaba. You're Haru. Okay, so let's get to business. In this place, we chat about Liberia. We give you some information about our role and our activities in the Senate, and we interact. We want a country where we, the policy makers, can fix the system so that the system, the radio frequency is FM 98.1. The radio station is called D15 Radio Bourgeois It covers about 8 to 9 counties. The coverage is very large and they have a very huge following. Radio Bourgeois D15 FM 98.1. So welcome to class. This week has been interesting. Next week is expected to be interesting as well. Welcome. Happy Unification Day today. Some people think there is no reason to celebrate a Unification Day. Some people think it is needless, especially so the way the country is being run on a very divisive note by the current dictatorship. But when our forefathers, our past leaders saw the reason to enact Unification Day as a national holiday, it was done with the intent and purpose of us seeking to unify ourselves as country and people and to seek unification for Africa, West Africa, OAU, as we know it today to be AU, ECOWAS, Minor River Union. All of us unify the world, live in peace and harmony. So that we are not observing it today doesn't mean that the day is not justified. Observing the day, celebrating the day doesn't mean it's not justified. It should only serve as a reminder that we need to unite. And unity does not mean that we must agree on everything the same way. There can be diversity in unity. You can see something one way and I see it another way, but with a goal of fixing it for all of us. That's another form of unity. When you think unity means let's agree on everything together, means we are unified, no, then we'll make a mistake. I know most of you came to class tonight to hear about Senator Prince Ward Johnson of Nimba County. I'm not going to be calling his name in this class too many times. I will call it once in a while as the need may be. But I want to make it clear from the get-go that our call for war and economic crimes court is not a target at Prince Johnson. Our call for war and economic crimes court for Liberia is not a target at Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson is only feeling guilty already, so that by the time you mention the phrase or the call for war and economic crimes court, then he thinks you are talking to him. He thinks you are talking about him. He thinks you are targeting him. No, our call is for transparency and accountability. Our call is for the end of the culture of impunity in our country. Because we have not punished people who continue to violate the public trust, people who have committed heinous crimes against humanity, people who have killed our people and wrecked this country. So people believe that doing the wrong thing, wrecking the country, killing people anyhow, destroying lives and property is a way to go. And every time we don't punish people who violate the public trust, it emboldens more people to do worse to the country. It also sends a message, a negative one for that matter, to upcoming generation that doing bad things is a good career and it is acceptable. No, we shouldn't be sending that message any longer. It's time for us to seek justice. It's time for us to seek justice, pursue justice. Taking people to court does not mean that they are automatically guilty. No. Justice means you are afforded an opportunity to be heard, to prove your innocence, or those accusing you to prove your guilt. And then the requisite, the just, fair punishment as enshrined by law be served. That's justice in essence. It's just like audit. By the time they say, let's audit this place, and everybody think they want to catch roll. To audit a place or to call for audit could also mean systemic audit, to cleanse, to put system in place that did not exist. But by the time people say audit, people start panicking and jacking and scary. Yeah, audit will put system in place and make sure that system that was not in place is in place. So when we're talking about justice, it's not to say you guilty already. It's not to say you guilty already. It only says you are afforded an opportunity to prove your innocence or for you to be proven guilty in keeping with due process. And transparency, accountability, those hallmarks of good governance, they are all lacking in the governance of Liberia, and that is why this country is not making progress. And people are not courageous enough to stand their ground, to demand transparency and accountability from people who violate the public trust. And when you insist on it, and when you call for it, when you demand it, then people think you are acting or targeting them. No. No. It is no target of anybody. But you know something? The Bible says the wicked can flee when nobody is pursuing them. The wicked flee even when nobody is pursuing them. You know when you're wicked, and you know you're wicked, you can just be running because you believe or think that people are running after you, even when nobody is running after you. That's what wickedness does, and that's what the Bible says. And so I want to make it clear, our call for the establishment of a war and economic crime court for Liberia is not a target at any particular person, but for us to cleanse our country from the culture of impunity. How you striving to be good and another group of people just wrecking the country and they think it's okay to do so and for it to remain like that? No. And we want to make it clear also, I don't go to Senator Prince Johnson's house to call for war crimes court. I don't meet him in the street and yell war crimes court. I don't go to his office to talk about war crimes court. I don't meet him in the corridor of the Capitol building and yell war crimes court. I do war crimes court debate in session, doing the adoption especially of the agenda to bring the talk and the discussion about war crimes court. And I have been doing so for the last 7 months or so. And the reason is because the president of Liberia, George M. Weah, has written the legislature, both houses. And the president's communication of September 2019 is asking for the legislature input on the way forward on war and economic crimes code. And for pretty close to over a year, the legislature has deliberately refused to act in response to the president's letter seeking the input or advice or action of the legislature. And even if George Weah, President Weah, wants a war and economic crimes code, he, as a president himself, cannot establish it. The function, the establishment of any court, of any jurisdiction in keeping with Liberian law is a function under the jurisdiction of the legislature. Now, the president passed a buck on the legislature over a year ago. The legislature, both houses, have deliberately, especially from the leadership perspectives, both houses have deliberately refused to talk about war crimes code or gave the position of the legislature on the issue of war crimes code. And so I have decided that I won't let it die. I won't let it rest. every 2 weeks, every month, I give them time, the leadership of the Senate, where I am. Every 2 weeks, I remind us in plenary whether Prince Johnson is in session or not. I remind us that we are accountable to the people, and we must respond to the President's communication on War Crimes Code and give a definitive position of the Liberian Senate. So, whether Prince Johnson is in session or not, I do these reminders. I'm not one person who pick up a fight today, a good fight, cause for the country and the people. Pick it up today, and everybody talk about it, and then we let it die tomorrow. No. When I picked up Wabodiki issue, I picked it up and sustained the fight until we ensured that Wabodiki is no longer at LACC because he was not qualified by law to sit in that place in the first place. And we insisted that even though we do not have the power to remove him, because in his position then, he was serving at the pleasure of the president in keeping with the Constitution, but we had to make the case. We had to consistently hammer the issue about Wabodigi being illegally sitting at LACC. Today, thankfully, with the collaboration of the Liberian Senate and the pressure from you, the Liberian people, backing our good cause, Wabodigi is no more at LACC. In fact, I would have even fought to further that Wabodigi should not only leave LACC, but he should be prosecuted for perjury, for forgery, and for doing a lot of other criminal acts in the name of being a Liberian when he has not demonstrated to be a Liberian in keeping with law. This man beat all the system here. This man got the Supreme Court to admit him into practicing law in Liberia when it is law in Liberia that you can only be citizen of Liberia in order to practice law in this country. The man duped the Supreme Court and he was allowed to practice law. The man duped the executive. The president nominated him twice to 2 serious integrity institutions of government. And this man got the Liberian legislature, the Senate, to confirm him. So the man played the entire governance system, the entire governance structure of our country. But in law, if the court acquitted you of a charge because evidence was not sufficient enough to find you guilty at the time, in law, when new evidence strong enough is discovered, which if that evidence was available at the time of your acquittal, it could convict you, the court can order new trial. That's what they call new discovery. When there's new discovery to show proof that evidence sufficient enough to convict you, but that evidence was not available at the time you were acquitted, the court can order new trial and you can get convicted on the new discovery, the new evidence that is now strong enough to convict you. What am I saying this? After Wabodigi duped all the system, the governance structures and system of this country, then we caught him with new evidence and new discovery that he's not a citizen of Liberia, and that on number one, he was not qualified to hold those positions because those positions are only for Liberian citizens, whether natural born citizen or whether naturalized citizen in keeping with law. And the fact that Wabodigi did not meet any of those qualifying credential requirement as required by law, then it means he obtained or entered those offices fraudulently, criminally, and he had to be prosecuted. But again, we have an executive that is selective in prosecution. Wabodigi supposed to be in the docket right now, being prosecuted for various crimes committed against this country to serve as deterrent. But you have an executive that is very selective on fight against in favor of integrity. So the fact that we as a country have refused to punish people in the past for wrecking this country, for committing heinous crimes against humanity, for destroying lives and property, we can't continue on this note. And so we continue to remind ourselves in the Senate in the Senate during plenary session that we have a duty to our people. That duty to our people on the issue of the establishment of a war and economic crimes code is before the Liberian Senate. And any senator has the right to remind the leadership of the Liberian Senate that we must return, we should bring this letter, this communication, this issue about the war crimes code back on the floor for discussion, for deliberation, for debate, and for decision to be taken. Does the Senate want war crime code? Does the Senate not want war crime code? We can't make that determination unless we debate the issue. So whether Senator Prince Johnson or any senator likes it or not, we will continue to remind ourselves, and the only place to do so is in session, because there is a matter that has to do with war crimes code that is formally before us, sent by the President of Liberia, George Weah. You know, even though I know the President himself is not excited about war crimes code, because any president, and including this one, George Weah, that wants something out of that legislature, they will do everything to get it there, from there. They will use their influence, they will use their clout, they will use their lobbying skills or lobbying influence by whatever means to get it done or get it achieved. The President of Liberia and the CDC gang don't want war crimes code for whatever reason, but the President passed the buck to the legislature to make a determination. And we cannot keep sitting on the communication. And every time you remind ourselves that we have a duty to take a decision as a Senate, then one senator there running says, Dillion, they're calling my name, targeting me. No, I don't see Senator Johnson in the corridor and talk about war crimes code. I don't see him in fact, I don't go to his house before I talk about going there to talk about war crimes code. I don't go to his church to yell war crimes code. I don't see him in the traffic to talk about war crimes code. I talk about war crimes code in session, plenary session. And I do so because there is an issue about whether we should have war crimes code or not. Is before the Liberian Senate. And as a senator representing the largest population of Liberia, of Liberians in Monserrado County, I have a duty to the people who elected me. My duty is to ensure their aspiration. My duty is to ensure their aspiration is for their interest is met, is served. You know? So, war crimes code is not about Prince Johnson. It's about bringing sanity to this country and the beginning of the end of culture of impunity. Anybody who says, I ain't guilty, go to the court and prove your innocence. Why are you frowning on the creation of the court? I ain't guilty. I ain't do it. I fought for justice for my people. True. Go make your case before the court. Go make your case before the court. Somebody is saying, since this is a chat and we are doing interaction, somebody is saying that my information about new discovery is tantamount to double jeopardy. No, double jeopardy is when you are being made to be punished, to face punishment 2 times for the same act. Double jeopardy is when they punish you for something that you didn't even do, then they won't punish you again for the same thing. No. But when they acquitted you, when you were acquitted, that means you didn't serve any punishment. If you were acquitted because the evidence was not strong to convict you at the time, when a stronger evidence is not discovered and is available, which if it were available at the time you were acquitted, it is allowed by law in Liberia, in anywhere where good governance is practiced, where the justice system is pure, it is allowed for retrial, new trial. That's what they call new discovery, yeah? The person who was talking about then in that case, it's double jeopardy. No. Double jeopardy is where you are being made to suffer 2 times for one thing. You can't punish somebody 2 times for the same thing. That's double jeopardy. But if you were acquitted because the evidence was not strong to convict you, and then this evidence is not discovered and is strong enough to convict you, the court can allow new trial. And that new evidence strong enough to convict you, you can get convicted, you go serve your sentence. Okay? That's far different from double jeopardy. Let's get that straight. So you can mislead the people. Okay? Whoever said that, I just wanted to correct you on that. And so it is what it is. Every time you talk about war crime court, and how did this war crime court issue come up yesterday? For which reason Senator Johnson is how come Senator Prince Johnson got into rage and feeling irritated and furious yesterday? Yesterday, like all of you know me, every 2 weeks in session, I remind us that we signed a resolution for $25 million in stimulus package to feed our people when we lock them down for COVID-19. And the fact that COVID-19 stuff, the stimulus package, cannot be seen or accounted for, we were demanding accountability. We were demanding transparency over the $25 million. And it was there and then that we made a case. And while making a case, we were saying in session yesterday that we sat there, the executive said they infused $25 million in the economy, no head, no tail, no accountability over that money. We sat there, we, the legislature, even though some of us, including myself, did not sign that resolution, but the legislature granted authority to the executive to print $4 billion, Liberian dollars. Today, no proper accounting of that money. The economy did not feel the impact of the $4 billion. Those of you who were around, you saw how the $4 billion ended in the hand of the government candidate against us and other counties during the December 8th election. No accountability. And we also reminded ourselves that the $25 million to feed our people, no head, no tail. And all these things are happening because people are not afraid of being punished, because there is no punishment when people behave badly, when people breach the public trust, when people hate the country. And as I said, we don't have the courage to bring about war crimes court, then we should have the courage to ensure that people account for the $25 million in stimulus package. And that's where Prince Johnson woke up. And so every time you see me in session, you talk about war crime court. Every time we were talking about accountability. We were talking about integrity in public service. We were talking about bringing about the end of the culture of impunity. We were not looking at Prince Johnson. We were not targeting him. But then, he only proved what the Bible says. The wicked people can run, even when nobody running after them. And he threatened me. And I took his threat to be a child's play. Because, as a senator, no man born of a woman, not authorized by God, can harm me or can threaten me, intimidate me. Abraham, Darius, Dillion. No man born of a woman without the allowance or permissive will of God can do a jink thing to this Abraham, Darius, Dillion. We fear no foe. Prince Johnson behaves like the story about all the animals eating. And one of the animals said, we eating no water, let the ugliest animal and more go bring water, and baboon vex straight. Who tell you to talk to me? But who call your name baboon? They just said, let the ugliest animal go bring water, then baboon vex. How baboon can get better that? Because baboon know that it's ugly. So baboon vest. By the time you say walk around court, Prince Johnson wake up from the city, say, what you call my name for? Your name walk around court? Your name walk around court? I tell your name Prince White Johnson. And now walk around court. All the animals eating, no water. One animal there say, let the ugly animal and more go bring water. Then baboon get vexed. Say, who tell you to put your mouth on me? Oh, baboon, you know you ugly. Prince Johnson, by the time they say walk and cook, who tell you to talk to me? What's that? PYJ. Senator Johnson said, if I ever talk about walk and court again, he will. What? He will tell my table also that. Well, it could be figurative. It could be literal. What a figurative, what a literal. Prince Johnson can do a jink thing to me, can't. And so on Tuesday, today being Friday, on Tuesday, the next day we will be sitting for session. If the pro tem does not put the issue about the war crimes court occasioned by the communication from the president on the agenda, during the period that we can adapt the agenda to conduct business of the Senate for the day in session, I will raise my hand, honor AOB, and I will ensure that the issue about the war crimes court will be placed on the agenda for adoption, whether Prince Johnson in session or not. Oh, I will wish he would be in session on Tuesday and on time. I will wish he would be in session on Tuesday and on time when I raise my hand and being recognized to make my input on the adoption of the agenda for business for the day. That nonsense about threatening people, intimidating people, and packing people into fear so that you guys can enhance your capacity to wreck this country, those days are numbered. Those days are numbered. As long as I am a senator, honor the grace of God and the blessing of the people who voted us, we will see to it that we have a decision as a Liberian Senate on the issue of a war crimes court. The people who elected me want war crimes court, I will make a case for it. If the people who can make decision on the issue of a war crimes court say no in the majority, the Liberian people will decide their punishment. Me, I know governance. On our governance structure, the ministers and people in the executive, in keeping with the Constitution, they serve at the pleasure of the president. That is why they can do anything to please the president. And once the president is pleased, they remain on their job. I don't care who call for the resignation or dismissal. Once the president is pleased, they remain in their jobs. Because in keeping with the law, they serve at the pleasure of the president. They do everything to please the president. I know my role. My role as a legislator is to serve at the pleasure of the people, my bosses, who elected me by the grace of God. Imagine me joining the cabinet people to serve only the pleasure of the president. Who will serve the people under aspiration? The governance structure is so uniquely separated, but in coordination, the minister then serving the pleasure of the president. We, the lawmakers, should be serving the pleasure of the people so we can make the proper representation and case for the people. While the minister then serving the pleasure of the president, then we, the elected officials, serving at the pleasure of the people. So the people's feelings, their aspirations, their interest can be our paramount concern to please. Just how the ministers can please the president. But when we, elected officials, join the ministers to serve the pleasure of the president, that's when the people can be abandoned. And part of my job is to ensure check and balance, to ensure transparency and accountability. to ensure good governance, to ensure good policies are put in place so that system can work for all and not patronage for few. That's our role. And we insist we play this role with no fear or favor. No fear or favor. And so on Tuesday, not a different Tuesday, the one that even ready for Tuesday in session, as long as God gives me life and breath to breathe. Tuesday, we go to session. If it is not on the agenda, as this matter has not become even a more public interest discussion, if the leadership of the Senate through the pro tem would not see reason to put this on the agenda, then honor AOB before we adopt the agenda. I will raise the issue so that we can adopt it for discussion on Tuesday, whether Prince Johnson in session or not. Prince Johnson said he will shake my table because Jesus 10 people table upside down. You see, I like it, that's true. Jesus 10 people table upside down in the temple. You see, the people whose table Jesus 10 upside down, they were doing the wrong thing. And Jesus was not part of the wrong thing they were doing, so he had to standing to turn the table upside down. But Prince Johnson said he want to turn my table upside down. Then let all agree to establish the war crime code and appear before it if we all did the same things to hide this country, slaughter people at our own will as though we gave them life, wreck this country, and has emboldened more people to think doing the wrong thing against the growth and development of the country is the career and a good way to go. Then let's go turn each one another table upside down. When Jesus turned people table upside down, he had a standing to do it. He was not part of their gang. He was not trading and corrupting and doing all the nonsense and bad thing in the temple. He had to standing to turn the people table upside down. You get standing to turn my you are Jay. When people feared you, it was those days. If people still fear you today, it should be out of respect of your good stewardship. I fear no man. No man born of a woman can put fear in Darius Dillion. The entire Liberian Senate knows that I am not a coward. The entire legislature knows I am not a coward. I may not do everything right because I'm a human being, but they think I'm not a coward. The entire government and CDC gang, they know I'm not a coward. And Prince Johnson, a mortal man like myself, cannot cower me into submission. No, not at all. Not at all. And so, on Tuesday, by the permissive will of God for me to live between now and Tuesday and go to work, Senator Prince Johnson and his legs will hear from Senator Abraham Darius Dillion in his function as a senator, calling for our decision on the issue of war and economic crimes code for Liberia. Like it? Come. You don't like it? Stay in Nimba. Come to session on Tuesday, you'll hear about war and economic crime code. And if you know what I know, you better join me. Join me. So we all can rally around to ensure that war and economic crime code for Liberia, so you can vindicate yourself and start walking around being haunted by your activities of the past and blaming everybody who just mentioned the thing war crime code and you think that you don't know. We need justice in our country. Peace cannot be sustained in the absence of no justice. Peace cannot be sustained in the absence of no justice. And so we will demand justice, accountability, transparency, and good governance. We will demand it with no fear. We will. We take few seconds break and we'll be right back. Right back. Welcome, visa over. That was a short, quick recess. Short, quick recess. Thank you for coming to class tonight. This is what the prof wanted to talk about. Let's chat with Dillion. This class is the Adolph Lawrence class of patriotism and social justice. I want to thank you for watching and following. We have been live on D15 Radio Bourgeois FM 98.1 live. We are still live until the end of this show, and we'll continue to be on Radio Bourgeois, and we'll make negotiations with other radio stations as we continue to carry out this. Let's chat with me, Darius Dillion. It's the class we call the Adolph Lawrence class of patriotism and social justice. We want to thank you, all of you, for listening on radio, and those of you following on the social media. Our class today has been attended by our students as usual, and it's all about preserving the peace and ensuring a wholesome society where people can be accountable for their action. When we come to you for your votes, and you gave us your votes, we should be accountable to you. We should be accountable to you, the people. Our stewardship in office should motivate other people to want to serve. When we come to you for our vote, for your votes, and you gave it to us, our action in office should not be a discouragement to other people to serve this country. Our action in office should be honorable, so we can earn the title called honorable. Our stewardship in office should be such that it will raise the hope of our people that life can be okay again for them. Our stewardship in office should be such that it gave the old people hope and a sense of security that even as they are old and may leave this earth soon, there's something that is being cooked for their children. It can give the children hope that as they grow, there is a future of prosperity for them. It can give people the hope with disability that they have space in this country too, with privileges. It can give the young people hope that as they go to school, they earn education, they will be part of the growth and development of the country. they can become productive. They can be asset to the country. Our stewardship in office should be inspiring than discouraging. I want to thank you, all of you, for your support. Those of you who still do not support us, will represent you anyhow. During elections, people are allowed to make their choices. After elections, when you win, you serve and represent everyone, even those who did not support you, even those who still may oppose you while you are in office, because democracy allows it. Everybody, any leader who wants everybody to praise them, that leader has problem. Any leader who accepts only praises always and not being checkmate or allowed to be checkmate or to be criticized or to agree with disagreement, that leader has problem. Then you will only have people in your circle who will tell you the only thing you want to hear. Even when things are going wrong, they will tell you everything is okay, because that's what you want to hear. That makes you a bad leader. That makes you a leader with a poor judgment. And when you are that kind of leader, your organization, the country cannot grow. It cannot progress, because you got more people disenchanted, more people disappointed, but you got more people bullied into fear from speaking out the truth. And because more people may not be speaking out the truth that you don't want to hear, you will be thinking that the more people who are silent because you think you're doing the right thing, because you're hearing the noise of the few people who only tell you what you want to hear. And it is dangerous when more people decide to shut up. When more people have been cowed into submission or decide that they won't say anything at all, when they go to the ballot box where it is secret, that time they will beat you bad. Then you ask yourself, where are all the people? I used to talk behind me and say everything okay. As a leader, have 2 ears, one for praises, one for critique, and reasonable recommendations and suggestions. Weigh them. Weigh them. Everybody wants to be praised. Even God wants us to praise Him. God, the only thing God created offer is for His glory, for all to praise Him, worship Him. Right? We are not gods. He made us only in His own image and likeness, but we are not gods. As human beings, as national leaders, either in communities or organizations or in our national leadership, we must allow ourselves to embrace democracy. Democracy creates the room for everybody to have a say. And some of the say people will say, they're not the one who like. But as leaders with tolerance, maturity, we must be able to embrace freedom of speech and of expression. It's not only the one that pleasing us. It's not only the one that we won't hear. Freedom of expression also is the one that you don't want to hear, but that person who's saying it has the freedom to express it. It's just that we must express our disagreement with some degree of civility, maturity, being responsible, and respect. Mutual respect. You respect me, I respect you. I'm a senator. You call me Senator Dillion. When I steal, don't call me Honorable Dillion, call me rogue, call me criminal. You're not insulting me. They think what we feel entitled to certain title. Even when we're doing the wrong thing against the title, then we say we are compelled to be called. No. I'm Senator Dillion. When I do things in the office that bring dignity to the office, you call Honorable Dillion or how you want to call it, fine. When I steal, don't call me Honorable Dillion. Don't let anybody compare you to call me Honorable Dillion. When I steal, call me rogue. You have not done anything criminal. You have not done anything bad. You are only describing my act. When I kill, call me killer. Because you did not elect me to go steal. You did not elect me to go get engaged in corruption or any other acts that will breach the public trust. You elected me to serve your interests and your aspirations. You elected me to be a role model. You elected me to give hope to other aspiring, enterprising young people who want to aspire to serve. That's what you elect us for. That's why you see I don't run around with an honorable title. My work, my service should speak. Our work, our service should speak. When we steal, call roll. When we are honest, then we are inspiring hope. Then we are breeding ground for other people to have the opportunity to be believed and to be served and to serve. Imagine if, God forbid, man, I have you said, imagine if I start to fail you in my function as a senator. Another person with passion to serve, genuinely too, come before you say, give me an opportunity to serve. That Dillion, bad attitude in office you will use as an example to deprive that person. They say, wait man, Dillion, they toy all the time, and by the time we put it in office, the other why he did, why you went to that, you say that. We don't want our stewardship to serve as to dash the hope and opportunity of other aspiring young people or old people who genuinely have the passion and the honesty and the wherewithal to serve. We want our service, our stewardship to serve as good recommendation, good impetus, good inspiration for other people to be given the opportunity to serve. Because when we serve well, other people who want to serve and to serve well, they will be believed and they will be given the opportunity to serve. When we don't serve well, we'll be killing the hope and opportunity of other people who genuinely too want to serve. Liberia lacks symbolism of leadership. Liberians are almost losing faith in finding role models, especially the young enterprising Liberians. Liberians are losing faith in finding role models who to model their futures and their activities and their style of leadership after. We got to wake up to the reality that our country has declined so much so that even some of my friends who are part of the CDC gang, who insisted that George Weah must be president at all costs, they too are asking, how did we get here? And I can remind them that we got here from 2005 when we insisted that George Weah must be president. When we were insisting that he's not ready, he doesn't have the passion, he's not prepared, he doesn't even look like it. He only rode on the popularity and the failings of past administrations to say, okay, let's put one of our own there because he will make a difference. The guy lacks motivation, no inspiration. He only surrounded by a gang and they just wrecking the country. Wrecking the country. The church, the pulpit is becoming silent because even pastors ordained by God, called by God, who will preach on the moral ills in the society, members of the church of that pastor who love the president and the government more than God and the pastor, will deal harshly with the pastor in a disrespectful and crude way. Pastors, the church is becoming silent. The mosque is becoming silent. Civil society is practically no longer believed. Nothing can happen in the country where you can turn to a moral voice or a moral institution, an institution that has moral authority to speak and for the country to shake. Liberia has sunk to the place that only God and courage, determination and passion can take us out of there. And that is why at CPP, as we are building the momentum and the hope of our people to redeem this country from the CDC gang, we cannot afford to do anything to kill the hope of our people. We cannot be seen or imagined to be fighting among ourselves and one another. We cannot be seen, perceived to be fighting, real or imagined. Because every time it happens, it gives our people a sense of hopelessness that nothing will change, Some people are even beginning to say. Some people are even beginning to say. It'll be funny among yourself. And you can't find then a better would just keep job we are there. This is what we are beginning to do to our people. CPP. You mind instigation, you mind people planting seed of discord, and you run away. They don't want to be vice president. And they don't meeting with Ellen. And the other person walked like that last night. And the other person was in one Tesla last night and one CDC and was there. And Dillion was passing right near fish market and his car slowed down, and you know Ellie living near there. What is that? If they're not Bwaka, then CPP money exists. If they're not coming, then no CPP. And if it's not normally, then Liberty Party acting weak. What is that? What is that? Every time we fight, real or imagined fight, it benefits the CDC gang. CDC does not have a ticket for 2023 yet. I can bet that CDC, George Weah and Joel Howard Taylor will not be on the same ticket. CDC coming for ticket for 2023. You don't see them all over the place with conspiracy theorists here and there. Who watch interest and why? Why Joel speak to George Weah here and George Weah not even tell us sorry because she's sick? You don't hear CDCs do that, especially in the public. Who dare conspiracy theory? When Cummings says something constructive that promotes CPP generally, but projects him personally, and you say it, you highlight it. Oh, they don't support this. Cummings, he ungrateful. When you quote Joseph Bwaka thinking Liberia love Liberia, build Liberia, and put a picture, then oh, they're Dillion are the best guy. Then the CPP, then what is that? What really is that? CPP. I said it the last time. Only CPP can defeat CPP. A strong, united CPP ticket announced today, the entire country and the world will shake, and George Weah and his gang will know that they only holding on until we hold election in 2023 for them to turn off. Whole day conspiracy. You go to Joseph Bwaka as an elderly man, you sit down on the floor to demonstrate respect, and you put your picture up. Oh, the guy is hustling for favor. You go to comments, you have discussion. Oh, they don't make comments yesterday. We won't be VP to comments. Bwaka, comments, Ure, Nyobli, or anybody in CPP who make it to the standard bearership of their party in keeping with the CPP framework is qualified to sit to contest for CPP ticket, and when the person win, in keeping with the processes we put together, we should project that person because that person went through our process, won the process, and what? We should promote the person. In doing so, we can't be disrespecting. Okay, I want to project normally Kanga Lauren down. They respect Bwaka. I say negative things about Cummings. Then when Cummings win the CPP nomination, then I bring myself also and I say, you don't care Cummings. What standing will I have? I want to project normally Kanga Lawrence of my party, which is my right. Then I say denigrating things about Bwaka. Then when Bwaka win, then I come and say, me, Darius, Dillion, you will believe in me. You don't care Bwaka. What standing will I be having by that time? That is why when I'm projecting normally, I'm respectful of Bwaka, Cummings, and the rest of the leaders in CPP, because any of them, one of them will be, any of them qualify, and one of them will be. When we came together as four parties, we agreed that we have one ticket. The fact that we agree we will have one ticket, that means we acknowledge the fact that only one person will be there. Only one. And then all of a sudden I just see, we army CDC, we embody these people that were even weakened since December 8th. Since December 8th, we put CDC in coma. It is only CPP that we are working in CPP. I mean CDC. CDC will put them in coma and we're ready to bury them in 2023 so that this can be removed from all the country. It is CPP una real or imagined perception of confusion and division and undermining and conspiracy theory is the thing that is giving breath, life to CDC. CDC was dead and CDC have been in coma that they could not survive from since December 8th. It is CPP that is giving CDC some life by our actions, inactions, conspiracy theories, imaginary lies, and all these things. If we come back together and stop this nonsense about conspiracy theory, disrespecting this other political leader because you feel what the other political leader, it will stop it, and we see CPP at one time where we can disagree on the issues but with mutual respect, and we start to forge ahead as CPP. CDC will go back in coma and they will be dead in December 2003. They will be dead by 2003. And 2024, when we finish taking the office and do our inauguration, then we'll bury them and have them repassed, and there will be no more CDC gang over this country for the remainder of time. We giving CDC reason to hope and live again. We giving CDC reason to live and hope again. You know that we post CDC. I don't talk about Darius, Dillion. All of us together. CPP, COP, mothers. I mean, all of us who decided that we don't want anything that has to do with CDC. All of us together. CPP, COP, mothers, friends of Dillion, all the auxiliaries across the country. We all together put CDC in a coma that they could not survive from going into 2023. We don't want giving the people injection to live again. But all these conspiracy theorists fighting one another, showing disrespect to one political leader because you favor this other political leader, and that will add this person, CPP can't make it. What is that? Stop it, my people. Stop it. Stop it. If you are CPP, let's be tolerant. If you are CPP, let's be patient and mature. If you are CPP, let's be respectful of one another. Then we'll reach the finish line for the country. Liberia cannot afford the extension of the CDC gang. Only CPP, by the grace of God, can redeem this country. 2023 is an opportunity by law, by our power, guided by the direction of God, to redeem this country from further degenerating. But in a democracy, the thing the majority say that they won't can hold. If we sit down in the majority by our own actions or inaction, and the people get discouraged and keep this gang hanging over the country, then we will not have no standing to talk to Joe Weir them until their second term finish. I will have no energy to be speaking. Oh, they all want running, because we are being given an opportunity to replace what we don't like. We are being given an opportunity to replace what we don't like over this country. But if by our own actions and or inactions, the people go to the ballot and re-elect CDC gang, then we must agree to live with it. Because that's what democracy calls for. That's what democracy calls for. I want to thank you for coming to class. Let's chat with me, Darius Dillion, the Ada Lawrence class of patriotism and social justice. I want to thank you. We don't want to go long beyond the hours because we are also live on the radio, and the radio station has other programs to carry out. But we want to say thank you for listening. Let's do it together. I will catch you next week, hopefully on Tuesday, after session, after we raise the issue about the issue about war and economic crimes court on Tuesday. God willing, when we come home early and on time, you'll hear from me right on this dot, FM 98.1, D15 Radio Bourgeois, and right here live on our social media page, the Darius Dillion page, and for us to give you update on Tuesday session. God willing. I love you. I'm a human being like you. I'm not perfect. We are striving in our human best way to be our best. Along the way, we sleep because we are human. We will not stay sleeping. We wake up. We keep moving. We keep moving until we get there. This country deserves better. Our people deserve better. Our people tired of trial and error. The trial and error with the CDC gang has proven to be dangerous and deadly for the country. We have an opportunity to go replace them. We have an opportunity to go democratically replace them. Let us stop discouraging our people that is becoming hopeless. God bless you, and I love you. Happy Unification Day, and I'll see you when I see you.